Hi, I'm Ellie and welcome back to my Toyota Hiace Arcadia, which I'm currently traveling Australia's east coast in, and today I wanted to do my version of things that I hate about my van build or van build regrets. Now obviously I don't completely hate anything, otherwise I would have just changed it, but these are things that I've noticed now that I'm living in the van that I would probably do differently if I were to do another van conversion. I'm Ellie Wilder and you're watching Wilder in Motion. The first thing is my fixed stove. I really wanted this in the van. I thought that it just looked so cool and it made it look like a tiny home, and that it would be more convenient, and that by having two burners I could cook spaghetti and meatballs at the same time, which I am yet to do. In fact, I don't use the burner that much because I keep my cooking pretty simple in the van, so I definitely would have been able to manage just with a simple camping stove, which can be purchased so cheaply from Kmart, and considering this installation cost me almost $400, I would definitely do that next time. The other thing is I just did a DIY installation. It is not legally compliant, and so even though I feel safe in the van, it doesn't add value because I'm not going to be able to advertise it as having that feature. Next, let's talk about my electrical system. If you are a long-time subscriber, then you would know that I had a lot of trouble with getting this installed. Even though I did have an electrician install it, for some reason things weren't working and there were lots of issues, and it took a long time to get it all figured out in the end. So what I'd probably do differently next time is have one company supply the products and install the whole thing, so that if anything went wrong, it was just one company responsible for figuring it out, rather than not knowing whether I needed to talk to the company, whether the product was faulty or whether it was the installation that there was a problem with. It just made it really confusing and it took a long time for it to get sorted, although it is working fine now. The next thing I want to talk about is my fridge, specifically the fact that I got a fridge with a separate freezer. I really thought I would use this for making ice and putting frozen foods, but given that the fridge can be intermittently unreliable, especially if there's a couple of overcast days, the solar can cut out. So I tend to not really trust using the freezer, and now I've just gotten into the habit of drinking water without ice, so I don't even really use it, and I have a full 20-litre freezer space. So certainly I would have managed with just one little ice cube drawer inside a fridge, and maybe by getting a smaller fridge that would have saved on the power consumption as well, being lower wattage. Although I did have a look, and you do need to go significantly smaller before you get that reduced wattage. I am glad with the size of the actual fridge section though, and the good thing is this still will add value to the van, so whoever ends up owning it after me when I eventually sell it is going to be able to take advantage of that large fridge and freezer space. The next couple of ones are things that are perfectly manageable, but if I did do another van conversion, I would try and amend these things. And the first one is that my blockouts aren't really blockouts. They were one of the last things I did on my van conversion, so I just wanted to get finished, so they pretty much just altered sun reflectors, and they do the job, but they keep the van cool and they keep light out, but they do let a little bit in during the day, which can be good when I want to keep them up to keep the heat out. However, I am stealth parking, which does mean if there is any gap letting light out of the van, it kind of ruins the stealth a little bit. So I would consider investing in having some custom blockouts made for a future van build. Another little thing is my water pump, which was one of the last things I bought, is very noisy. In some ways it's kind of good because it helps me save water as kind of a deterrent from using too much water, but I would probably invest in a quieter one, again just to keep things a little bit more stealth in a later van build. And a small thing which I've noticed about the flooring, first of all, is I wasn't very careful when I first installed it, and so it did get some scratch marks on it from when I was dragging things around, so I would be more careful next time. And the other thing is, because this is a floating flooring, when you put it in a house, you only need to glue a couple of the panels and then everything just slots into it. But because this is a van, I should have glued the whole floor down, because what's kind of happened is with the vibration of the van moving all the time, it's kind of shaken some of the planks apart and there's a couple of little gaps forming. It's such a minor cosmetic thing, but now I know for next time that if I use this kind of flooring again, I would make sure to glue down every single panel. And the final thing, which I've honestly gotten used to now, but it would be nice to be able to stand. I'm glad that I don't have to shuffle around on my knees because that would be very uncomfortable, but I am about this far away from being able to stand up straight with the flooring and the roofing kind of bringing things down a little bit. But it's been totally fine for a couple of months, but I know if I was doing this more long term, like full time for a couple of years, it could definitely get pretty annoying and it would be advantageous to be able to stand up properly. Well, all up, I really love my van conversion. It's super practical, it works for me, and I love the aesthetic of it. Linked below is my favorite things about my van video, and if you want to check out more of my van life content, I post new videos every single Saturday. So to join the journey, like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.